Hello, Crafted Shutter watchers, and welcome to a fantastic episode today. And the reason why it's fantastic is not because of me. It's because of the knowledge and ways that I find to save time in my business. And then when I find something that works for me, then I'm happy to pass it on to you. And that always makes me extremely happy. Hey, before I go any further, don't hesitate to subscribe, ring that bell, get involved in the community, and enjoy this channel on living the life of a freelancer focused on photo and video. And there are other tips on here for other types of freelancers as well, especially if health insurance. I have a video on that. Anyway, back to what I'm going to talk about is generally when I shoot stock video, I am a Final Cut Pro 10 user, and I have been using Final Cut Pro for 15 years, long before it was Final Cut Pro 10. So I know the software decently well, and I'm comfortable with it. And as far as like doing corporate work and getting stuff done quickly, I just absolutely love Final Cut Pro 10. So I will still use Final Cut Pro 10. But let me tell you about the pain point that I have, and then when I come across what Resolve did, and I will show you how to do it in Resolve. So don't leave this video, because I'm going to save you a bunch of time. And Final Cut Pro 10, when I would get my stock clips, I'd put them in, a event, what they call them, a project, and I would put them all there. I would trim them up. Drop it on my timeline, do any color corrections, and export it. And then I would just repeat that process over and over. And Final Cut Pro 10 exports fairly quickly on the whole. Now, what Final Cut Pro lacks is a batch exporting feature. I am going to make a link. If you have the latest version of Final Cut Pro 10, I think it's 10.4.4, there is a add-on software, Frame.io, that you can use to do what I'm going to show you in Resolve. However, the Resolve way is much cleaner and still faster from my timing that I've done. So what happened now is I was looking around on the internet. I was just curiously, I've had Davinci Resolve. I have someone sending me some project files that were shot on a Blackmagic camera, so I was brushing up on my Resolve skills in order to be able to edit that raw footage that he is sending me from the Blackmagic Ursa Mini. So anyway, as I was looking at Resolve, I realized that I could take all my clips out of a project, I could drop them on the timeline, I could trim them up, I could color grade them all in the timeline really easily, and then I could go into the export feature and render each clip separately, would walk away from the computer and let all the files render, and then just upload them to the stock sites instead of doing one by one by one. Some of you may already be doing it this way. Kudos to you. I wish I would have known this a year ago. And I'm going to take you through the free version. And the free version covers Windows, Mac, and Linux. Resolve is amazing software. Am I going to switch to it? I'm going to play around with it for a while as I do everything, and then see what I want to do. But I'm very efficient in Final Cut Pro 10, so I'm not looking to switch. However, I am looking to use it to edit all of my stock footage. And I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on what you need in Resolve for stock. And basically what you need is you need a way to edit your color, and I'm going to walk you through that in a really simple way of how you can tweak the color on your clips and then share it with your other clips if you need to. Then I'm going to show you how to stabilize footage. You need to know how to do that if you're shooting stock. And then there's a denoise. Now, you cannot denoise your software with the Blackmagic Resolve software with the free version. Okay, so I can show you where it's at, but on the free version, it's going to put a watermark over your image. That being said, looking around on eBay and some other sites, you can purchase a key that has not been used for the Blackmagic Resolve Studio, which would give you access to the noise reduction for around 150, 200 bucks. So it generally goes for $299, but you can save yourself, 100, 150 bucks if you look around, find a license that someone's willing to sell that they have not used it yet. So that can save you some money. And really, for the free version, if you don't really need a lot of, I already have Neat Video and Final Cut Pro 10. But if you don't need that, then I'm going to show you a workflow that is absolutely a blockbuster for stock production, no matter what kind of platform you are working on. This really would have saved me hours, if not days of work, just because of the fact that I can just render the whole timeline out and walk away from the computer or do something else in the process. I'm actually a little upset that I hadn't found this sooner and been doing this sooner, but I'm actually really happy to be sharing this with you. It's a blockbuster thing to really contemplate on your workflow. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything more, and in fact, I'm just going to close the video after I run through the tutorial while I'm on the computer. I'm going to close it out. So I appreciate all your support. So before saying anything more, let's show you this powerful trick tutorial on how to edit stock in Resolve and save yourself hours of time. Okay, everybody, welcome to Davinci Resolve, and this is opened up into the editor window. I have an untitled project here. I just opened a project, and if you want to learn how to just basically install it, there's lots of videos on YouTube on that. I'm going to come over to the media tab. I have loaded in a clip, a card from my Sony a7 III. I shot a few clips of the house this morning, and I'm just going to highlight those which I already have. I'll show you how. Just hold down the command, highlight the clips that you want to bring in to edit, pull them down, and drop them into the media pool. Now, down here, I'm still working off of my SD card, so it'll be a little slow, but I'm just doing this for teaching purposes, so I don't want to leave them on my hard drive or worry about getting them off later. Alright, here we are. SD card shows up over here. Find the clips, bring the clips in, come over to the editor. Here are my clips. I'm just going to highlight all the clips by holding down the mouse and selecting them all and dropping them in a timeline. Now you'll see the audio. You can knock out the audio here just like that if you want, or you can, when you render, just render it without audio. Is up to you. I'm just going to clean it up for you so you don't worry about it. Alright, now here's our clips, and let's just say these are stock. I'm going to go quick. I just want to get rid of the beginning and end points to make them smoother. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just cutting the clips. And no, I'm not being precise here. You would obviously want to take a little bit more time in cutting the clips absolutely correctly for your stock video. And I'm just doing this to demonstrate that you just edit this out in the timeline. And like so. And we'll go to the last one here. I don't even like the last one. Excuse me, so we'll delete it. Now, so you got all your clips edited, cut. So let's go ahead and go give them a basic color grade and maybe do some stabilization. Now, don't panic. This is the window you need right here. Look right here. This is your color wheels. This is your waveform, and this is what I like to use. If I click on that, it'll show you the highlights and the shadows. So you don't want anything to go above this line or anything to go below this line. In fact, you want to be right above it and right below this one. So I already balanced these exposures at least pretty decently. So these are shadows, midtones, and highlights. And the little circle in the middle, well, you can colorize the shadows, midtones, or highlights, and you have your adjustment wheels below that. Below that, right down here, you have your saturation, your hue, and on page 2, you've got your color temperature, color boost, a few other things there you can increase and play with. So I like to work with the waveform. You can select different vector scope, whatever histogram, whatever you like to work with. I just find the waveform the easiest to read. Let's pick a different one here. So let's just say that on the shadows, I'm going to lift them up a little bit. On the midtones, bring them down a little bit. And on the highlights, I'm going to bring those down a little bit. I'm going to boost up the saturation, maybe 3 or 4. And then I'm going to go over here and adjust the temperature, warm it up just a little bit, about right there. Okay, so let's just say I really love what I just did, and I'd like to apply it to the other stock clips that I have here. So you just go over to the next tab and just hit the equal sign on your keyboard, and you'll see this colored box that represents that you've done some work on this clip in color grading. And I'm just applying the same color grade to all the clips. So boom, I now have color graded them all. And you can actually do this in groups as well. But really I find this quite easy just to select them, because not every clip I shoot, even in the same sequence, I want exactly the same, because sometimes the sun is different or other things. So that's just a quick way you can highlight the one that you were working on, go to the next one, hit equal, and it will copy over. So that's a basic color grade. Don't let nodes scare you. The easiest way that I can explain them is layers. Okay, the nodes, they're more powerful than layers, but you can add stuff to this clip in a non-destructive way and turn them on and off. And there's a whole heap of information on there. You can also add, LUTs to your clips down here. You can add LUTs to your heart content, and you can upload your own LUTs, all kinds of ways. Now the other tool for color grading, for a basic color grade that you might want, is a curves. And you can come in here and adjust curves also to your heart's content. And a basic little S curve. It looks horrible. So you can always click this to go back to where you were before. Right there. Go back. Okay? So you can play around with curves. Now, stabilization. Let's see. There's one here, I think, where I'm walking. Is this one lifting? No, it's lifting. Maybe it's the one I deleted. Anyway, stabilization. Stabilization is important. There's a little bit there. It's a little wonky. So you come over here to your target right there, and you click on that. Now it's probably not going to show stabilizer. It's going to show window, and you're going to say, where in the world is this stabilizer? He made it look so easy. I know, I watch tutorials on YouTube. So don't be ashamed. Come over here and just select stabilizer. Okay. Now, there are 3 different stabilization methods, and they're down here: perspective, similarity, and translation. You want to first try the first one. In order to do that, you're just going to hit stabilize, and what it's going to do is analyze the clip right now. I have a fairly fast machine, so it shouldn't take too long even working off the SD card, trying to stabilize it. And then you can go back and watch the clip. If you don't like that stabilization, you can select one of the other 2, run the same process, and see how it looks. So here it is stabilized. It looks great, actually. I know it's jumping a little bit because I'm on the SD card. A little bit of wobble. So if I wanted to do, that, I would just hit stabilize again, and it would analyze again. Okay. Then you have your smoothness. You can adjust that here. And I would pretty much leave it at 0.25. The reason being is the smoother you want it, the more it's going to crop into the image. So if I did 59 on smooth and hit stabilize, it's going to analyze that, and it's going to crop in. You see a bunch on the image. So anything you do, the cropping ratio and all that, you remember you're going to have to crop in on the image. If you take the zoom off, you're going to get the edges are going to show. I'm sorry, it's trying to do its job here. So there we go on that, and of course it's a lot closer than it was, but it is rock smooth. If you take the zoom off, that's the zoom. you'll get the edges that bounce around, so you don't want that. So that's your basic controls, your stabilization, and don't forget you have 3 options here to choose from. So you just did a color grade, you stabilized your clips. Noise reduction is right here, okay? And so basically you tell it how many frames you want it to look at. You want to give it a threshold, a luma, chroma, motion, faster, better, small, motion blur. These are your noise controls for resolve. If I use them, it's just going to throw a watermark on here as soon as I go to render it. It's because I am in the free version. So can't use the noise reduction unless you have the studio version. Dear friends, this is it. We've already trimmed our clips. We've already made a color grade to them, and now we're needing some refreshment. So let's come over here. File name. I'm going to type HOUSE because I've already done it. You're going to now come down to video. You're going to collect. It's on single clip. You're going to do individual clips. Okay. You can come down and turn your audio off. I've already done that. I have QuickTime at H.264, and you can select other things as well. You can go photo JPEG, uncompressed. I think if you have the studio version, you will have more options. And you can, on the free version, go all the way up to Ultra HD or 1920. These are Ultra HD clips. And then you auto, single pass, everything else, that is it. So we're ready to render these out. We add the render queue, and all we do is start render. I've already rendered a job there, same clips, same way. So I'm going to go into my folder here, and I'm going to go into resolve, and there's the clips, and I'm going to show you what happens if you add noise reduction. Isn't that nice? And you can see that it is full 4K rendered out. So at this point you can see it as house, and it gives a number, a different number for each one. So at this point you just highlight all these and drag them into your FTP, and that is it. Okay, that is your workflow. So you know, basically, I just want to walk through this again. It's your media pool. You drag your files in. You can set to a different hard drive. You need to edit faster. You cut your clips, drag them down here timeline, cut them in. You can knock out your audio if you want to. Come over, you do a basic color grade using the wheels, changing the waveform, shadows, midtones, and highlights, and you can use the control wheels. You can work to your heart's content. You can play with curves. You can then stabilize through this little window right here, and just hit stabilize, and it will analyze, and then you just go to your rocket ship and get them out of here. I hope you really find this useful, quick. I tell you what, it is so much better for me to be able to render in a batch like this, color grade this quick, and move on, that I am just absolutely thrilled, and I hope you are as well. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, and thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video.